Hello everyone, and welcome back, Reagents. Now, as most of you probably already know, I really like the Outlast trials. And when I say I really like the Outlast trials, I mean I really like the Outlast trials. So much, in fact, that I've locked over 400 hours into the game, and at least 100 of those hours are solely on escalation. And because of that, I have gotten extremely familiar with all of the trials and MKs that the Outlast trials currently has to offer. And because of that, I thought that it would be a lot of fun to make a tier list ranking all of the trials and MKs on how much I personally enjoy playing them, with a lot of different factors that I'll explain when I go over each of them. And when I'm done, we'll add it to this tier list here so we can keep track of the order from worst to best. I would also like to thank my friend Dillon for sitting down and playing every single trial and MK challenge with me for footage again, because I made him do it for the Ultimate Guide, and I made him do it again for this. Didn't you have fun, Dillon?
Fuck no, I didn't have fun and I'm not doing this shit again.
That's the spirit, Dillon. Anyways, I do apologize if I sound a little congested, as I have been sick this last week. But anyways, allow me, a unrenowned GOAT of the Outlast trials, to rank every single trial and MK currently in the Outlast trials as of Season 5 Update Project Messiah in order of my least favorite trials and MKs to play, all the way to my favorite ones to play through. Also, please keep in mind that this is just my personal opinion, so please remember that. But with that being said, allow me to set the mood.
Nobody can resist interrogation by torture, and any manner of death is a mercy. Microwave the informant, burst his head, and we will let you out.
Starting off with what I would consider to be the worst MK in the entire game, we have Cook the Informant. Now, I'm not just giving this one shit because it belongs to that ugly fucker Franco, but this MK genuinely makes no sense if you don't know what you're doing, and it is by far one of the most confusing ones. This MK centralizes around the scapegoat objective, which personally are one of my least favorite objectives in the entire game, just because how much they love to fucking run off. But thankfully, there is only one scapegoat to kill, but the trigger device that we normally use to kill them is unstable, and it will destroy after one use. And it doesn't help that the scapegoat is hidden at the very other side of the docks, hidden behind this giant door. And while you traverse through the docks, you're going to want to find more unstable triggers to blow up the little things that will clear the path to the scapegoat. And to be honest, it's an easy and a fast one, but I had such a horrible experience my first time playing it, and I've had some conversations to where I feel like I'm not the only one. And that makes me feel like this is definitely the worst MK in the entire game. But with that being said, let's finally move on.
You are the scab that heals the wound. The Union is the putrescent sore that infects with notions of a livable wage and a survivable workplace. An example must be made. Kill the Union boss, resume production, and we will let you out.
Next we have Liquidate the Union. I know it might seem a little jarring to put a trial this low to the bottom, but I genuinely really dislike the suburbs, as it is my least favorite trial environment, and of course, this is my least favorite trial. Mostly because of how similar it feels to downtown and the docks. Now, I'm a big fan of downtown, but not really the docks or the suburbs, especially because when the suburbs was released, it was the third trial environment that Franco got in a row. And if you know anything about me, you know that I fucking hate Franco. But being a trials player around this time, it was annoying to consistently get trial environments that felt the same and having to deal with the milkman. But I understand why he received so much content, so he can have just as much as the other two prime assets, Coil and Gooseberry. But now that Franco has more trial environments than Coil, it is a little weird. But the real reason that I really hate this trial is because of the amount of the same frequency puzzles that you're asked to do over and over again, just in different places. That definitely earns its spot as my least favorite trial, but at least drowning the Union boss is kind of fun.
You are a gentle hand, and you are a crushing fist. You give pleasure when lust is the lubricant of power. You give pain when violence is the fountainhead of control. Replace the prosecutor's whores with assassins, and we will let you out.
Next we have Pleasure the Prosecutor. At this point, it should not really be a surprise that we have two Franco trials back to back. Now, I will say that the downtown is my favorite out of all of Franco's trial environments, but it really does suck that Pleasure the Prosecutor has us doing the most stupid objective imaginable, as a majority of Pleasure the Prosecutor requires us to lock down areas by flipping switches whenever they go down until it reaches 100%, while being pursued by enemies in such a small area. And to be honest, it's quite a boring objective, and it doesn't help that the only way to access these objectives is finding those scapegoats that I fucking hate.
That fucking bird that I hate!
In the massive downtown area, and the fact that it doesn't really change up and it makes you do the same thing 4 times in a row is pretty annoying, and definitely makes for the second worst trial in the game.
You are the defense. The guilty cannot be allowed to face justice in opposition to Murkoff's profit and influence. Add physical evidence to the moneyed side to tilt the scales of justice, and we will let you out.
Next we have Tilt the Scales of Justice. Finally, something in the F tier that's not related to Franco, but this is by far my least favorite Courthouse MK challenge, as just like the scapegoats, I'm not a big fan of the blacklight number codes, mostly because one number always likes to stay hidden, and as much as I want to guess the last number, I know I'm going to end up getting shocked, that alarm's going to go off, and before I know it, I'm in the same room as Sergeant Leland Coyle, getting fucked up, electrified, and fried.
Economies based on narcotics crumble without their primary market. Steal the drugs, hide them in the corpses of their customers, and we will let you out.
Next we have Stash the Contraband. Now we're back in some familiar territory, as we're back in the docks already. And honestly, this MK isn't too bad. I just dislike it because while I'm playing Escalation, Easterman just loves to give me limited inventory too, turning this quick barrel search into a 20-minute long headache. And I also dislike it because Franco's here. Fuck you, Franco!
You are the wet nurse. When unfortunate children won't care for themselves, it is our duty to force the nipple of benevolence between the clenched teeth of ingratitude.
Next we have Poison the Cattle, and oh god, we're still at the docks, but this time there's a milking machine for Franco. Okay. But other than this MK revolving around poisoning Franco's milk supply, it's not really that notable, but pro tip, if you're using the jammer, you can get this door open from the other side for easy access to Chemco, which will make your life 10,000 times easier.
Sexually transmitted diseases are the secret handshake of evolutionary judgment and divine retribution. Spread the infection, and we will let you out.
But moving on, we have Spread the Disease. If I didn't like the idea of pumping a guy full of concentrated STDs forcefully, this MK would be a lot lower. But considering that I think that's just fucking hilarious, it's a little bit higher, considering that this MK is just the worst parts of Pleasure the Prosecutor 3 times in a row, as we need to do that lockdown bullshit, and that's just about it.
History is mutable. Only the future is fixed. If you allow the past to be defined by facts, evidence, and memory, our enemies will be as numerous as our sins. Destroy the historical record, and we will let you out.
But coming in at the very top of F tier, we have Eliminate the Past, and this one's gonna go right at the top of F tier just because I don't really like how this one is time-based and how you can just sit around and do nothing for 10 minutes and still complete the trial, and the only difficult part of this MK relies on you not knowing the layout of the basement of the police station. But now that we're done covering this MK, we'll be moving on to the very next tier, which is the Don't Like, which are trials that I don't necessarily like, but I don't hate as much as these ones.
You are the controlled substance. The law enslaves minds by caging bodies. You destroy bodies and liberate minds. Find the narcotics, set yourself free, and we will let you out.
For the first part of our next tier, we have Seize the Narcotics. This is one of the newest MKs for the police station, and personally, I'm not the biggest fan of it, as it's basically just stash the contraband on the police station, but the difference is that there's a bunch of gates that close when you go through them, and instead of you having to find barrels, you need to grab the cocaine and go back to your spawn. And there's even more locked doors than usual, making navigating through the police station even more difficult.
You are the surgeon's knife, and where you meet flesh, blood and pain must follow. We are the surgeon's medicine, who regulate pain and death. Poison the supply of those who would ease pain, and we will let you out.
But next up, we have Poison the Medicine. Here we have our third and final Franco main trial, but at least this one was good enough to barely escape the F tier, as out of all of Franco's main trials, this one has the most variety in stuff that you're actually doing, and I really like the boat as the middle centerpiece of the map, as it serves as a constant reminder to Franco that his stepmother is no longer with him.
You are the liberator who opens the doors that bar the stranger. Privacy and property are antiquated ideas. Be naked before the world, own nothing, and profit will flow from you like blood. Open the gates, allow us in, and we will let you out.
Next we have Disrupt the Neighborhood. Like I mentioned earlier, I am not a big fan of blacklight puzzles, and I'm especially not a big fan of blacklight puzzles when I have Franco the Rat trying to hunt me down. Thankfully, this one isn't as annoying as Tilt the Scales of Justice, and despite it being in the suburbs, my least favorite trial environment, I have to be honest when I say that the map layout to this MK is pretty solid.
You are the taxman. Legitimate business is only crime that is past a sufficient threshold of success. A sin that must be made clean by a government's tithe. Empty the vault for authorities due, and we will let you out.
Next we have Empty the Vault. We're only on the second tier of this list, and we have already covered all of the levels associated with the docks, and with that being said, Empty the Vault is definitely the best MK that the docks has to offer, as all you have to do is scan 3 symbols and steal Franco's titty milk. There's another MK that follows this formula at the courthouse, but I like that one way more.
You are decay, the ceaselessly grinding entropy that destroys fact and makes way for history. Use the acid to destroy the evidence, and we will let you out.
Next we have Destroy the Evidence. There was a time that I used to put this one in F tier, but After really learning the layout of the courthouse and becoming lovers with the jammer, I don't dislike this one as much as I used to, but it is still really annoying when you have to just sit around and wait for the gates to open and then have to deal with Coil giving you the hardest time ever when you just want to help this nice guy have a bath.
You are the teacher. We lend police authority to protect our property and profit. When they overstep their bounds, they must be taught fresh humility. Change the educational film, and we will let you out.
Moving on to Teach the Police Officer, in my ultimate guide to the Outlast Trials video, I stated that this was one of my least favorite MKs, and I'm here to tell you that it has changed a little bit, but it hasn't gone up too much, as I've gotten more familiar with all 4 floors to the police station and the locked door locations. But this place is still a nightmare to navigate, and sometimes it is quite difficult to find the doors, especially when they're in a corner in the basement. And more often than not, you'll spend your time just running around the police station and looking for the last final door to get your film reel.
You are the happy accident. The unnoticed leak that invites invisible death. Ushering out the workers whose lives linger beyond their productivity. Fumigate the factory. Kill the employees, and we will let you out.
Next we have Fumigate the Factory. Finally, something that is not Franco or Coil related, as we have our first MK taking place in the toy factory, as we're gonna have to go to both sides of the basement, and yes, even in solos, you're gonna have to do both sides and start gassing the basement by finding valves. And I will say that this one definitely gets easier the more you've learned the layout of the basement of the toy factory, even though I don't think it's super difficult.
You are special. You are deserving. Civilization is founded on the suffering of the weak. Kill the scapegoats to open the gates, and we will let you out.
Now coming in at the very top of the don't like tier, we have Escape the Courthouse. Now, I am not the biggest fan of this one, as it's solely just scapegoats over and over and over again until you escape the courthouse, but at least the last area throws a little bit of a challenge, not allowing you to use your rig, but you'll probably complete that area the fastest. Overall, I'm not a big fan of this one, and this will also mark the end of the don't like tier, as we're going to be moving on to the meh tier. As this is for the trials and MKs that I don't necessarily dislike, but they aren't my favorite either, very middle of the road.
You are the hand of freedom. When you release others, you will find release yourself. Unlock the prison and release the guilty. Then we will forgive you and let you out.
Next we have Release the Prisoners. This is one of the MKs that will drastically change depending on how many people you have, and it also will spawn you by yourself, which is a gimmick that some MKs have that I absolutely love. But you can get this one done in about 1 or 2 minutes if you're by yourself, but if you got a full team, you're going to be here for a little while. But as I mentioned, I'm mostly looking at this through the lens of solo, and even though it's not a bad MK, it is really fast, as all you need to do is find one key, get into the security room, release the prisoners, and get the fuck out of there.
You cannot allow evidence to determine the course of justice. Corpus delicti. Find the bodies and grind them to slurry, and we will let you out.
Next we have Cancel the Autopsy. Now, I know the setup might seem a little familiar, but this one is quite different from Eliminate the Past, as instead of sitting around looking for boxes to shred, you're going to have to go into each of the 3 sectors and find the corresponding key to the dead body. And this MK is a really good one to help you familiarize yourself with the basement of the police station.
You are the better angel, on the shoulder of the responsible citizen, when voters insist on the hypocritical weakness that puts history before nation. Take their privacy and give them judgment. Pull the citizens from their homes, gather the votes, and we will let you out.
Next we have Get Out the Vote. Now, I know I stated that I don't like the suburbs, so you might be surprised to see something related to the suburbs in the meh tier, but I mean, it is very meh, as you just need to go door to door and do even more blacklight puzzles in people's houses? What the fuck is up with the people in the suburbs? They just fucking love their blacklight puzzles, don't they?
You are the spider, not the fly. Prisons are how civilizations eat. Power the generators and release yourself.
Next we have Sabotage The Lockdown. This has to be one of the quickest MKs in the entire game, but as I feel like it's such a classic one, it's just gotta sit in the meh tier. And if you know the layout of the basement of the police station, you will be at the generator just as quick as you got into the MK. And if you get invaded while playing this MK, expect the imposters to leave once they see what MK you got.
You are justice. You are loyal. We cannot allow the tyranny of facts and impartial reason to condemn the people who protect and guide you. The past is changeable. The future is set. Sabotage the court, kill the judge, and we will let you out.
But coming in at the top of the meh tier, we have Vindicate the Guilty. Despite being filled with a bunch of scapegoats and blacklight puzzles, which are my 2 least favorite things to be doing in this game, the charm of the courthouse in the main trial is nice, especially the main goal being killing the judge, and hearing her plea for Coil to come help and save her is actually quite sad and interesting to hear. But with that being said, we are finally done with the meh tier, and we are going to be moving on to the good tier, which is for MKs and trials I would consider obviously good.
Others are poison, toxic swamps in which families suffer and drown. Rescue the children from mother, and we will let you out.
Next we have Foster the Orphans. This one is quite simple, but I think it's quite a good MK to help familiarize yourself with the orphanage, as all you have to do is a couple frequency puzzles that are hidden on the main floor of the orphanage, and when you're looking to find them, you're going to learn the layout pretty quick. But that's about it.
You are the consumer, whose life's value is revealed by the worthless currency that sustains it. Collect the tickets, turn them in, and we will let you out.
Next we have Redeem Your Freedom. Halfway through this thing, we're finally talking about the fun park, but I fear Redeem Your Freedom is probably the weakest MK that the fun park has to offer, but it's still a really good MK in my opinion, and I love any time we get to go into the root canal, as Redeem the Freedom just needs us to find a bunch of tickets in the root canal and the office, and that's it.
Hey, I thought you weren't supposed to eat anything for a couple of hours after you've had a crown put in.
They're having this new kind of quick-drying bonding. So,
Sounds like a good dentist.
oh yeah.
You are a caretaker. You care with one hand and take with the other. If the children will not feed themselves, poison them. Then we will let you out.
Next we have Feed the Children. Again, we have another quick and easy one, as all you have to do is locate 4 things of acid and pour them into the soup. Not really much to say about this one.
You are not your childhood. Memory is the grotesque narcissism of individuality and reason. Nostalgia. Nostalgia is the testament that will strengthen the flock. Abandon your youth. Deface and demean the infantile puppets that control you. And we will let you out.
Next we have Deface the Futterman. Now, this one is really fun, as we get to do some target practice on Dr. Futterman throughout the entire fun park. So it can be difficult to find some of the Futterman targets, but as long as you keep listening for the sound that they make, you should be able to find them pretty easily, and this is just one of the good fun park ones.
You are a consumer. You are not the product. If you allow them to turn us into toys, then you deserve to be played with. Destroy the human toy, and we will let you out.
Next we have Drill the Futterman. Now, just like Deface the Futterman, Drill the Futterman is actually basically the exact same thing, except you're going to be doing it in the root canal instead of the fun park. And because I love the root canal, I like it a little bit more than Deface the Futterman, and it has a cool gimmick where if you're playing with your friend, it makes you go through separate sides of the root canal to meet back up in the middle.
I cannot teach you. I can only offer fear and pain and perversion and rage. Let these show you a path to enlightenment. Crush and destroy the toys, and we will let you out.
Next we have Crush the Sex Toys. This has to be one of the more difficult MKs, especially for newer players to learn, as it took me quite a bit to learn originally, but I've gotten quite used to doing it by myself, and honestly, I enjoy it, but having to switch the second box onto 2 different conveyor belts can definitely be confusing for newer players, as navigating the basement of the toy factory is difficult enough, but while also managing boxes on conveyor belts while being chased by Miss Futterman is quite the challenge.
You are the exterminator. Only we can tell you what is true. There is a snitch inside the prison, preparing to testify against our truth. Kill the snitch, and we will let you out.
Next we have Kill the Snitch, but for us unks, snitches get stitches. Now, for the main trial that you are all probably the most familiar with, as it is the very first trial in the game, and for being the very first trial, it lands itself right in the middle of good, as it's not the best main trial that the game has to offer, but it sure is a really good starting one, and even though most of the trial is just collecting keys, the other parts, like the basement segment and frying the snitch, are quite fun and nerve-wracking.
You are the bystander who refuses to limit the crimes witnessed to your dim and lying eyes. Condemnation, like murder itself, is only a matter of provocation. Bring the muckraker the evidence, and we will let you out.
Next we have Investigate the Minotaur. For being the first MK for the shopping mall, it is quite different compared to the main trial, as all the lights in the entire shopping mall are turned off, and now there's gates between sections of the mall, and the Spatlin store is open, and honestly makes the shopping mall feel quite different from how it does in the main trial. But the objective is just having to carry... What even fucking is that weird-ass homunculus?
This is your latest homunculus update. As you can see, the state the eggs are in.
Anyways, you need to carry that throughout the entire shopping mall using the fuse you get in the Spatlin store to allow yourself to go to the end of the mall and deliver the weird fucking homunculus to this, detective guy?
You are the investigator, here to find the evidence that will confirm the political will of the judge. Spell out the story that confirms the guilt of the condemned, and we will let you out.
Next we have Sentence the Prosecuted. Now, we have the very last MK for the Courthouse, and thankfully it is my favorite one. Now, I know I gave a lot of shit to Empty the Vault, and this is basically just Empty the Vault but in the Courthouse, but personally I'm a bigger fan of playing Hangman than having to get my hands dirty by touching Franco's possessions.
You are the pharmacist who pushes the drugs that ensure a healthy profit. Unsanctioned narcotics disrupt virtuous addictions. Sell our product in Franco's territory, steal his customers, bring us the money, and we will let you out.
Coming in at the very top of the good tier, we have Traffic the Product. Yeah, I know, it might be a surprise to see a Franco MK up this high on the tier list, but to be honest, I actually really do like Traffic the Product, as it takes place in my favorite Franco environment, downtown. And you'll get to do some really good sightseeing as you do one big lap around downtown, delivering drugs to whoever ordered some. In some other words, we're actually just stealing Franco's clients, and I love the concept of fucking him over. And overall, it's just a really good, solid MK. But with that being said, we are finally done with the good tier, and now we'll be moving on to the great tier, for the trials and MKs that are just better.
I don't make mistakes. I'm not just like the rest of you. I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better. I am better.
I have to make an example. If you punish a few children firmly enough, you teach all the children a lesson. Punish the children, and we will let you out.
Coming in at the bottom of the greats, we have Punish the Miscreants. I love industrial wood chippers, don't you? But in all seriousness, this is definitely the best MK to learn the layout of the fun park, as you have to go through each individual section, having to find a button to press to unlock the kid and carry him all the way back to the yummy wood chipper, and doing all that running, you are definitely going to engrave the layout of fun park in your mind. But it would be even greater if we were throwing these kids into a van instead of a wood chipper.
You are the half-truth. The reality more honest than fact when the evidence fails the agenda. Crimes must be shaped to entertain the swinish masses. Prove the crime, delight the swine, and we will let you out.
Next we have Fabricate The Scandal. This has to be one of my favorite of the newer MKs, as it's very similar to Punish the Miscreants, but instead of bringing children to you, you're, as the name states, fabricating the scandal, and you must grab the mannequins that are in the shape of the prime asset Aurora, and you'll have to deliver them to different sections of the mall, where you'll watch these mannequins get the best head of their life. But I really like having to see what store the mannequin is in, heading over, checking which one I need, heading back, and all of that. Overall, a very solid MK.
Family is the grinding stone of youth, which separates the chaff from the tender meal of obedience. Reunite the child with his family, put them to rest, and we will let you out.
Next we have Reunite the Family, and this one is an all-time classic MK. I used to get this one confused with Foster the Orphans all the time, but then I became an unrenowned GOAT of the Outlast trials, so now I'm finally able to tell the difference between doing frequencies and flipping a bunch of electrical panels, turning on a generator, searching for keys. But yeah, this has probably got to be one of the most MKs that I've ever played.
are the shepherd who would save the poor little lambs from mother. Deliver them to the warm embrace of the church, and we will let you out.
Next we have Gather the Children of God. Just like the last two MKs, this is also a mannequin escort MK, but this one is going to be happening within the orphanage, and instead of taking them to that wood chipper, we're going to be taking them to the van. Yes, finally. This MK is also really good to learn the upstairs of the orphanage.
You are the warden of all your own prisons. Your containment requires your will. Disconnect the power, open the doors, and let yourself go.
Next we have Open the Gates, another MK that is really good for learning the layout of the fun park, and honestly, this one is quite similar to Punish the Miscreants, but instead of having to find kids, you're just pulling batteries out of walls. But this one is honestly quite easier, and in my personal opinion, it's a little bit better gameplay-wise.
You are the negotiator. Human life is just one more product, an amusement for those with enough money to do anything they want. A fresh plaything is up for auction. Destroy the lot, despoil its value, and we will let you out.
Next we have Despoil The Auction. This is the newest main trial within the game at the time of me recording this video, and originally I was going to put it in the Unrenowned GOAT tier, but after playing it a bunch, I decided that it sits comfortably near the top of Great. I still stand on everything I said about the resort being one of the best trials in the game in my other video, but to be honest, that's mostly because of Lydia and her gameplay, as the main objective to the resort is really just unplug batteries and collect gems, but at least the gameplay mechanic of the gems being on Lydia is really cool. And also, I am absolutely dying for Lydia to get an onboarding event, because that would just be even more cooler.
You are an adult. The youth will not obey our orders and must be corrected. There are children murdering adults in the root canal. Punish the children, and we will let you out.
Coming in at the top of Great Tier, we have Grind the Bad Apples. Now, I love this trial, as it feels quite thematic, and throughout my first time playing the Outlast trials when the game first came out, the Fun Park was my favorite trial, and only since then 2 trials have beaten my love for it, but it still holds a very special place in my heart, and I think it is one of the best trials that really encapsulates what the Outlast trials truly is. And it has this absolute banger of a song.
Mother gooseberry lots to do. She's got a treat for me and you. Mother gooseberry, can you see what's in my tooth?
But with that being said, we are finally done with the Great Tier, and we are moving on to our very last tier, the Unrenowned GOAT tier, which has been reserved for my personal favorite trials and MKs that I will never get upset playing.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
You are the sunlight that burns away exposed infection. Perversion thrives in the damp, dark places where secrets fester. Incinerate the sex dolls, and we will let you out.
Starting off with our first Unrenowned GOAT, we have Incinerate the Sex Toys. In terms of solo scaling, this one actually works properly, as it doesn't make you do both sides of the basement of the toy factory, unlike Fumigate the Factory. but even while playing with a friend, you guys are separated and made to do the same objective, and it's always fun to race against your friend to see who can complete it first, and whoever can complete it first always gets bragging rights and can head over to the other side.
You are the mesmerist, gently murmuring behind the pendulum, guiding the sleepwalking children into the grinder we call propriety. Change the channel, switch the program, and we will let you out.
For our next Unrenowned GOAT, we have Beguile The Children. And I think we all expected for this MK to be in the Unrenowned GOAT section, as I am an absolute sucker for when Red Barrels introduces brand new areas in pre-existing trial environments just for an MK. And this isn't the first instance of them doing it, but it is definitely the biggest they have ever done by adding an entire illusionary mansion to the fun park. And thankfully, the objective requires you to explore the castle looking for film projectors, as you must carry a film to it. I absolutely love everything about this MK, and Red Barrels, please make more MKs just like this one.
You are the cleansing flood that washes away the lies. If the people are allowed to choose leaders who poison the well of obedience with the bile of history, then we must drown those leaders in that self-same bile. Kill the politician, cleanse his bones of flesh, and we let you out.
And moving on to our next Unrenowned GOAT, we have Kill the Politician. Now, this might be a little bit of a hot take, as I know not a lot of people like the shopping mall or the main trial for it, but my username is Liminalixie. Now, for most of you, that might seem like a weird-looking math equation to make my username, but because we live in an evil world, I wasn't quick enough to have my username be Liminality. So, while I was high as fuck, brainstorming ideas, I came up with Liminalixie, and I'm sticking with it. But the reason I bring that up, of course, is for my love of all things liminal, and there is nothing more liminal that you can get than a shopping mall. Additionally, I always wanted a shopping mall trial in the game, and I was so surprised to see when we got one, and this trial gets even more brownie points with me because Otto and Aurora are my favorite prime asset, so it's always a joy to see my favorite incestuous grandparents every time I head to my favorite trial environment. But I will say, I don't like that Otto and Aurora didn't get a proper intro in this environment, but maybe they'll get something cooler in their next trial environment. But the only other trial environment I can think of that would get me just as excited as a shopping mall would definitely be a water park.
You are the revelator. What you build exposes the perversion latent in every heart. We cannot allow hidden messages and innuendo to corrupt our children. Expose, humiliate, and destroy the deviant, and we will let you out.
For our next Unrenowned GOAT, we have Pervert the Futterman. Now, we have my second favorite trial in the entire game, and that's for some good reason, as it is probably one of the more difficult ones out there, as there's quite a few tasks to do in this one, but it's genuinely the same box objective over and over again. But the main thing is the person we're killing, as the idea of taking this random guy to different sections of this toy factory and watching him slowly get covered in wax and getting his genitals removed just to ultimately be burnt to death at the very end of this trial has always sat in my mind, and it will never leave it. And because of that, I keep coming back, and it's one of my favorites.
Education and faith must follow our mandates. Children will learn obedience. Shape them young, and they're ours for life. Teach the children. Give them first communion, and we will let you out.
For our next Unrenowned GOAT, we have Cleanse the Orphans. Now, we have my favorite trial in the entire game, and I know it's a simple and basic one, but I have a very soft spot for this trial, as it was my first ever A+, and the first trial I've ever completed in psychosurgery by myself. It's also personally my favorite trial to try and speedrun, and the trial I have played the most, because during my first playthrough, I definitely enjoyed the fun park more, but as I wanted to learn the game, I chose to learn it in Cleanse the Orphans, and now I definitely prefer my time at the orphanage.
Workers are capital itself. Products bought and engaged to create more easily sellable products. We must control production. Shut down the factory, and we will let you out.
Moving on to our next unrenowned GOAT, we have Shut Down the Factory. And if you guys can remember back to my Five Nights at Freddy's X DVD announcement video, you'll probably remember my good friend Dylan, who struggled to read a paragraph for about 4 minutes straight.
Before I say anything else, check out this awesome piece of fan art. Pretty amazing stuff, right? I have boxes and boxes of artwork like this from fans that I've saved over the years. I've played to answer as many letters as I could, and I apologize to anyone that I missed somehow. Someday when I have a bigger living room, maybe I'll make a giant collage of all the fan art I've collected. Stuff like this has made it all worthwhile to me over the last 7 years. I've had a blessed, fulfilling, and rich career. I've been shown great kindness, and I've tried to show great kindness in return. I've tried to make some good games, let the debate ensure, and I've witnessed the creation of a possibility the most creative and talented fan base on the planet. But here on the 17th anniversary of the first game trailer, as I realized that I was in my mid-30s when I created the series, and now I'm approaching my mid-40s, I realized that I miss a lot of things that I got to focus on before FNAF became such a successful. I miss making games for my kids, I miss doing it just for fun, and I miss making RPGs even though I stink at it. All of this is to say that I am retiring. I have been shown tremendous love, support over this last week, a lot of which has come from the LGBTQ community. The kindness shown to me has been surreal. Is this the end of FNAF? No. This just means that someone else will eventually be running this show, someone of my choosing and someone that I trust will. We will have to wait and see how it all plays out, but an announcement will be made at some point. I have 6 kids now, although one of them is currently the size of a blueberry. I love them dearly. They're my whole world and my whole universe. I want to focus my attention on them, focus on protecting them, and spend my time making things for them. I only ask that my fanbase respect my decision. I will still be around, just not in the capacity that I used to be. What a blessed career I've had, what wonderful people I've met, and what tremendous blessing to have been able to know all of you. Thank you so much. See you on the flip side.
Well, that same Dylan is also a unrenowned GOAT of the Outlast trials, just like myself. And when he first got the game, he was learning it in this MK, and I was playing it with him all the time. And we had an absolutely great time doing it and having fun. And Dylan, if you're watching this video, which I know you're not, you will always be my GOAT, and I always love shutting down the factory with you, twin.
Prostitutes receive more honest confessions than priests. Identify the pervert by his tastes, kidnap his dominatrix, deliver her for interrogation, and we will let you out.
For our second last unrenowned GOAT and my second favorite MK, we have Kidnap the Mistress. Okay, I know this might come as a huge shock. No fucking way. It somehow managed to be a Franco MK that made it to the
Unrenowned GOAT
status and even this high up. But yeah, Kidnap the Mistress has to be one of the best made MKs they've ever put out. Now, when we tear back the sheets, it is just a frequency MK that takes place downtown. But at least when you finish the frequencies, the trial's not over yet, as you additionally have to use the clues that you're given after completing the frequencies to apprehend the right mistress. And yeah, it's quite easy, but I really like it. And with that being said, let's move on to our very last number 1 spot.
You are liberty. Let nothing contain you. Law is only the word of man, and facts the mere happenstance of existence. Open all the doors that would contain you, and we will let you out.
And coming in at the very top of the Unrenowned GOATS, my favorite MK in the entire game, Fuel the Release.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Now, this might not be exactly what you're all expecting when you think of great MKs and what you would think I would consider to be the best MK or trial in the game, but again, this is just my opinion, and I have a wholly soft spot for this one. Like I mentioned with Cleanse the Orphans, I played that one on repeat over and over again, and that helped me learn the game. But before I did that, I was really learning it here. I played this MK over and over and over and over and over again, and it really helped me learn the game, and I just have a soft spot for it. Now trust me, I know that this one is super easy. All you have to do is 3 generators, and as much as I complain about having to fucking do that in Dead by Daylight, I should hate the idea of doing generators in this game, but no. Every time that I'm seeing that I'm playing Fuel the Release, I get really happy and a little nostalgic. And for that reason, it is my favorite MK of all. And with that being said, we have finally ranked every single trial and MK challenge currently within the Outlast Trials Season 5 Project Messiah. Now, I know some of you might not agree with how I made my list, putting some of your favorites near the bottom or putting some of the ones you hate near the top. But again, this is just my opinion and how I personally feel towards the levels in the game. But down in the description, you can find the link to make your very own tier list of your own. But I hope you all enjoyed the video and are excited for more Outlast Trials related videos in the future. But don't worry, I'll get around to that All Things Wicked chapter retrospective eventually. But until then, behavior, please give Chucky a Phantom of the Opera skin. Thank you all so much for watching, and goodbye.